Is worry a bad thing? People act like it is, but I talked to Notebook LM about it, and they sort of agreed with me. They sort of thought it had its purpose. So here you go.
Ever get that, nagging feeling, that one that sets up shop in your brain and just won't quit with the what ifs?
Yeah, we're all familiar with that feeling. Worry it's not exactly the most welcome guest.
That's putting it mildly. But today, we're diving deep into this whole worry thing, not to, kick it out entirely, but maybe to get a little more insight into why it does what it does.
Exactly. It's about understanding, not necessarily eliminating.
Right. And we're going with this idea that worry, as unpleasant as it can be, might actually be trying to lend a hand, in its own weird way.
Interesting way to put it.
So is there any truth to that? Is worry actually trying to help us out?
Well, when you look at the research, especially from an evolutionary standpoint, it does make you think. There was this one study, for instance, found that people who tend to worry more are actually better at anticipating and preparing for potential problems.
So like an internal alarm system that's always set to high alert.
Kind of, yeah. It's about survival, right?
Yeah.
Being aware of dangers, even if they're not immediate.
Okay, I get that. But why does it have to be so darn unpleasant? Why not a gentle nudge instead of a full-blown siren in my head?
$1,000,000 question, right. And this is where the evolutionary perspective gets really interesting. Think about it. We naturally avoid things that feel bad. It's instinct. But sometimes the things we really need to pay attention to are the ones that make us squirm.
Because we'd rather just pretend they don't exist.
Exactly. So the research suggests that the unpleasantness of worry, well, it might be evolution's way of getting us to actually listen up.
So feeling bad could actually motivate us to change something. That's kind of a weird concept.
It is counterintuitive, isn't it? But think about it like this. You've been putting off a tough conversation. The longer you wait, the worse that worry gets, right?
Oh, tell me about it. It just eats away at you.
And that awful feeling might be the very thing that finally pushes you to have that conversation. Rip off the Band-Aid, clear the air.
Okay, that makes sense. I can see that. But knowing that worry is trying to be helpful doesn't magically make it vanish when it pops up. So what can we actually do with this insight?
Well, that's where understanding the different ways worry tries to help can be really useful. There are 3 potential outcomes of worry that the research talks about, and knowing these can be, well, kind of a game changer.
Okay, I'm listening. What are these outcomes?
So sometimes worry wants you to really think things through. Let's say you're worried about giving a presentation at work. That worry, it might be your cue to rehearse more, polish up your slides, think about potential questions. Just reduce uncertainty through preparation.
So it's like worry is saying, hey, how about you get organized and be ready?
Exactly. Then there are times when worry might be pushing you towards finding a solution, a direct one. Like say you're worried about your finances. This type of worry, it might be what motivates you to create a budget, maybe look for a side hustle, or even cut back on spending. Concrete actions to address the root of that worry.
So it's about taking control, not just sitting there stewing in your anxiety.
Right. And finally, there are situations where worry's solution is more about, conservation, managing risk. Imagine you're thinking about making an investment, but it feels risky, that worry you're feeling. It might be your sign to diversify, maybe invest a little less than you initially planned, or even get some advice from a financial expert.
It's like worry is tapping the brakes a little, saying, hold on, let's think this through.
Exactly. And by understanding these different potential outcomes of worry, we can respond to it in a more helpful, constructive way.
So instead of just being annoyed by that worry that keeps hanging around, we can actually listen to what it's trying to tell us. Maybe even nudge it toward a more helpful response.
That's the goal. It's like, maybe we can't completely get rid of worry, but we can learn to have a better relationship with it.
Figure out its quirks.
Exactly. And that starts with understanding it better.
So listeners, as you go about your day, think about this. If worry is trying to help, what kind of help is it offering in different situations? And knowing that, can you change the way you respond to those nagging worries next time they show up? Something to think about.